Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to WillCast. It's the podcast with the most creative name in the entire world. Thanks for tuning in as always. I appreciate it, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. Today, Christian Nielsen, back with round number 2 in real life.
This time?
Yes. It's nice to have you back. And always exciting to talk to you. You just finished your bachelor project. How'd that go?
Went well. I've been working on it for about 4 months. And it was the final thesis for the bachelor's degree in sports science. And it's one of those things that, you kind of fear until you're in it. And then it's actually a pretty nice process overall. And you look back at it and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad, actually. That's what I feel like with all bigger projects I've been through educational-wise. Maybe I'll take the master's later, and then then I know I could handle the bachelor's, and I could probably handle the master's as well. But for now, I'm taking a break educational-wise.
So how long would the master's be?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're thinking about going a year working before taking a master's?
Actually, it's not in the plans right now to take the master's. The most important thing for me and the main reason I did the bachelor's degree in sports science was to get, some education because, this whole wave of people sharing fitness advice and making educational videos like that online, not to put anyone else down, but there are a lot of people who don't have a lot of education on it. Not that you need education to be an expert in something at all, but I felt like it could help me take the academic route or get some academic background at least. That wouldn't be bad. At least. So for now, I'm satisfied with having the bachelor's degree, and also it's very time consuming to study, obviously. So right now I'm just really happy to be able to focus a lot more on my work, making new content, and being more for my being there more for my clients. And then maybe later I want to take the master's, but it's not in the plans right now.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's something I literally just talked about with someone called Matthew Friars, who's a teacher at Biola University. The thing about studying and education, about having the credentials to speak on something. And I also talked to, do you know Frank's Movement?
No.
He's another fitness YouTuber who made a pretty big, a long explanational video about the one-arm pull-up. He made more videos, obviously, but that's his main video, I feel like. And we talked about also, he's a physical therapist who also studied, and it's interesting the whole educational system that you can actually learn a lot online, but a lot of people still go to school and formal education. I'm a bit split on the whole formal education thing, because obviously it's nice to have a formal education because you have a background, you have the credentials, you have something that you can prove you've been through. And also, what was I going to say? And also, going through the formal education, you know exactly what you'll be taught. The teachers, there's the curriculum. So if you study online, if you study by yourself, you might not know what you'd have to look into, and you might not also know if it's correct what you're reading or not. So that's the whole benefit about formal education, I guess.
Yeah, I think it really is. I think if you had to do studying by yourself, you'd have to have a really good, not bullshit detector, but you'd have to be very skeptical of everything. At university and school in general, you get everything served.
Yeah.
But also still with a skeptical, approach. That's very important. So we get presented one study that says something interesting about something fitness related, training related, and we're all on the first year, and people are like, oh, that's super cool. And then the teacher, after presenting it all, the teacher would be like, okay, so So can we actually conclude that now? Do you actually believe that now just because this one study has said it, right? And then we're all like, okay, maybe not. What do you mean? And then he explains like one study is not enough necessarily, and then you learn about meta-analyses. And so I think exactly what you're saying. There's a lot of bullshit online, a lot of stuff to navigate through, and it's actually in some way easier to take a formal education because you get everything presented handed to you on a silver platter, basically, right? And you get when you write a bachelor's project, you have a scientist, or it doesn't have to be a scientist. I had a scientist assigned as my guide to help me, and
yeah, exactly. And I feel like that is kind of what you do on your YouTube channel as well. You kind of look at the bullshit stuff online and kind of clarify it, right?
Yeah, that's a thing I've been doing on my Christian Nielsen channel. For those who don't know, I have two channels. I have my fitness channel, Calisthenics Unity, and then I have my Christian Nielsen channel, more like a personal channel where I can make content, make videos on whatever I want, but it's mostly fitness related. So it could be someone I see out there who's putting out information that I not only disagree with, but which I think could be, build a case against that it's basically bullshit. And then I like to talk about it. And I think when you put something out there, you are, you can't avoid criticism. People criticize me as well, and I think that's super cool. If I can learn anything from it, that's great. And there's no one that should be, how do you say, hidden from criticism.
Yeah, no one should be protected from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nothing should be. Yeah.
It's really interesting because you also have a lot of kind of controversial videos talking about controversial things. Are you ever afraid to be canceled?
Not really. I'm not nearly big enough to be canceled. I mean, I don't have enough reach. So, if suddenly there were articles made about something I said or something like that, I think it would only be to my own benefit in some way.
Cool, yeah.
It's more like if you're the biggest YouTuber on the platform and you say something stupid, then it's not good, I think. But no, I'm not nearly famous enough or anything like that to worry about that, I think.
I think you're right as far as culture goes, as far as actual human beings judging or whatever, but maybe perhaps the social media platforms themselves could silence you essentially.
Right. Yeah, that's a thing where I, have been silenced a bit, not to sound like a conspiracy type, but sometimes if I make a video on something just about something, social politics or social justice, just in that area, then the video gets demonetized. Yeah. It's not even because I'm anti-social justice, because we all like justice. It's only about how you define social justice. But I would say I'm for social justice, right? But just if that's in the video, then it can get demonetized, and obviously that will make you less inclined to talk about it in the future. So that can be a bit annoying how that works.
Do you think that will change at some point? That YouTube will loosen their grip on these sort of things?
Oh, I don't think I'll guess on that.
No?
I think that's impossible to say.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think I have any qualified guess to say. I'm not sure what it will look like in the future.
I think personally, for me, I'm obviously not qualified to give out. Well, of course, we can give out our opinions.
Can give a guess and opinion, of course, for sure. Yeah.
But I wouldn't know, of course. I think we are. I hope and I think we are slowly moving towards a society where we can speak a bit more freely now without being attacked. But as far as the platforms go, I'm not sure, because it's all about business for them. They don't care about, they they don't care about your opinions as long as, you know, the investors are happy,
the
putting
ad
money.
companies,
Exactly, yeah. So they don't care. But I think as a society, we are slowly starting to be able to speak more freely. There was so many people getting canceled just a few years ago, and I don't know. I feel like it's slowing down a little bit now. I don't know if you've noticed that at all.
Yeah, I don't think that much about it anymore, and I think also it's important to just distinguish. I mean, being able to speak freely in a society, and then being able to speak freely on a platform, especially if it's privately owned, right? So, I mean, we have free speech in our society, obviously, especially, I mean, here where we live in Denmark. So I can only speak for Denmark, of course. But then if you have a platform, you know, technically it's, especially if it's privately owned, it's their rules that you kind of have to follow. So, I mean, you could build a case that if you say something that's against their guidelines and you get kicked off, it's not because it violates your free speech or anything like that. But I understand why it can feel like that, because social media is such a big part of our society and our culture, right? But there is a distinction there to be made.
Of course, yeah, you are right about that. I wanted to go back to your bachelor's project because I think the topic was really interesting. Can you describe it briefly?
Yeah, I can try to describe it briefly. Just let me know if I'm going over time on it. But basically, we were investigating the physical function level for multiple sclerosis patients. So, yeah, that's a degenerative disease that attacks your central nervous system. And one way to treat it is with medicine, of course. But actually, training has been shown to have a very positive effect on the physical function for MS, multiple sclerosis patients. And, you know, physical function can be defined as your ability to complete like basic daily tasks, like daily activity thing, like standing up from a chair, sitting down, walking, and stuff like that. So that's basic physical function, and that really your level of physical function really drops over time when you have MS. So then the question was basically, like, which is better, cardio training, like aerobic training, or strength training, anaerobic training. And that's what we investigated.
Yeah, nice. How do you develop multiple sclerosis? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, multiple sclerosis. Yeah. That's one of the unclear things. The pathology and the etiology. I studied it in Danish, so I might have the English word wrong, but I think it's etiology. Basically, the whole process behind like why you get the disease and all of that is not clear at the moment. There have been found correlations between low levels of vitamin D and smoking, for example, that can make it worse or increase your chances of getting multiple sclerosis. But as far as genetics, how they play, I mean, there have been observed some genetic, properties that can increase your chances of getting MS, but it's still very unclear. So there's so not scary. A clear answer. It can hit anyone. Yeah, it's really scary.
It's very scary. Yeah, is it? Does it hit your muscles or your joints, your bones?
It hits your central nervous system, so that's your brain all the way down to your spine.
Okay.
So like it can affect you cognitively as well. It's not only physical function; it can also be your like mental ability as well. But let's say it manifests somewhere in your spine. Your spine from the central nervous system goes out to the peripheral nervous system, out to your muscles. So if is wrong in your spine, it can affect your ability, your function in your grip and in your walking ability and all of that. So it's pretty scary. Yeah, it's really scary. If anyone wants to quit smoking or has a hard time quitting smoking, just reading about a disease like that and knowing that you increase your risk of getting multiple sclerosis, that should be enough. Like I got actually a bit scared just from reading that it could hit anyone. I actually have a friend who got MS. And he was actually like really how do you say, good in calisthenics. Like he was doing handstands and all of that. That was a bit scary, man.
And how old is he?
He is older than me. He's like 32 or something, and I train with him sometimes. Now he moved to Aarhus, so I haven't seen him for years, but I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, you haven't heard how he's doing?
No.
Interesting. So in your project, you also talked about, as you said, the different training methods that can help. So what was the conclusion on that?
Well, for our bachelor's thesis, basically it looks like a scientific article, and that's how we should write it more or less. But it's important to know that all the time when you make like a bachelor's thesis and even a master's thesis, it's not a proper scientific article. For example, we were connected to a project which is eventually going to be a proper study, like a scientific article, peer-reviewed and all of that. And that's where we got our data from. So when they're done with that project in a few years, they'll have data from, I think it was 100 patients in all. But we only got data from 11 patients. So if you only have 11 subjects in your study, you can't say anything, basically. Like whatever the statistical analyses you make, whatever they show, however significant p-values you find, it's not like significant to say anything. But we're not sure if it was because of coincidence or because there was actually a trend in the data we had, but it showed, as expected, that both training modalities had a positive effects and changed their physical function level. Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand, how does training actually help? Like, you know what I mean? Like how?
Yeah, so I think that's a big question, but it's basically the same way it helps everyone else. So as you do resistance training, for example, and if you can elicit a hypertrophy response in your muscles, and you can build some muscle and you can activate the motor neurons and basically increase your neural drive and all those things, that's the exact same thing that happens for MS patients as it happens for normal, like non-MS people. So maybe some MS patients won't actually be able to build muscle, but a hypertrophy response can just mean that you'll maintain the muscle you have instead of losing it because of MS. Because if you don't if you're not physically active and you don't do training and you have MS, that can make it even worse. Then your muscle will fade away basically over time when you don't use it. So yeah, that's basically how that goes.
Can you see it physically if you have MS? Like, do you get a lump with cancer, for example, or how would you know if you have it? Besides, of course, you talked about less cognitive functionality.
Some people, so there are two ways I could answer the question. Like, some people you cannot tell if they have MS, like when you talk to them and stuff. Other people will be in a wheelchair. And the other way I could answer the question is how we detect MS. I don't know which one you meant, but MR scans can show changes in your spine and some like white matter. This is not something I know a lot about, the methods of detecting it, but you can have radiologically isolated syndrome. That is the first degree of MS you can have, where you just spot like one like little thing, and that's often something you see not because you're looking for it, but because you're looking for something else. Then you scan a person and then you see that, and if that develops, it can turn into clinically isolated syndrome, and then after that you can get some of the other types of MS, so it can develop and get worse.
Ooh, it really gives me the creeps, man. I have real anxiety for like disease and getting sick. Oh, I hate that stuff.
Yeah, then don't read about it.
Yeah, no,
it's
but
scary.
It is important to know about it, and important to know how to not get it.
And make it better for others.
Who does have it?
Yeah, that was really something I felt was very meaningful with the project we did. Not because our project gives anything significant. We cannot, basically, like, what we can conclude is not necessarily something that reflects anything in the real world, again, because we had so little data. But we were a part of the project as well, in the sense that we were training the MS patients multiple times a week. So that was very meaningful, I felt like, working with these people.
Yeah.
And seeing how much joy they had, even though they had this disease, and one of them was in a wheelchair. Like, she was so awesome, and like you find a way to tackle life.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that sort of stuff. It's really cool. I thought it would be fun. I'm changing up subject here before I'm getting a panic attack.
Yes, change.
I thought it would be interesting to talk to you as someone who coaches people in calisthenics and fitness, to pick your brain on how to start fitness for someone who's brand new, because as we talked about before, you and I on the previous podcast, you got me started into calisthenics, essentially. You were the reason I started. So any tips, anything you can give the listeners on how to start, what to do, what not to do?
For sure. Many things you can do. I would say planning is a huge thing, and knowledge, obviously. You can spend a lot of time doing something, and if you don't do it right, you waste all that time. Some people think you have to go a lot to the gym, and they don't know that you need rest days. And then they get tired of going to the gym all the time, so that destroys their consistency and so on. So I would say make a plan, and if you know someone who can help you with fitness, if you have a friend who has been successful with his progress, or find videos online on YouTube, get a coach like me or someone else, whether you need a physical personal trainer or an online coach, like I do mostly online coaching, but like get some help in some way, whether it's personal from a friend or someone, or whether you find the help online on YouTube videos and stuff, and then make a plan. And then I would say try to commit to that plan for 2 weeks and see how you feel. Like, if you cannot, I mean, of course you could commit yourself 2 weeks. Like, just take 2 weeks, commit to this, see how you feel afterwards. Because, everything points towards training, not just being good physically, but also being good for your mental health. So even though you're not going to see any progress in 2 weeks, then you will feel better.
Yeah.
Likely.
I think you're absolutely right. I think from my own personal experience and my friends who have gone to the gym and stopped going to the gym, gone back to the gym, I think the number one mistake that people make is probably they're not sticking to a plan. They're just either going to the gym, doing whatever, or going to the gym for a few weeks, then they won't go to the gym for a month, and then go back and complain about why they're not seeing results.
Yeah, inconsistency.
Exactly, yeah.
You have to be consistent. And that's really also what I work with many of my clients with, is basically habits. Because motivation, habits, all of these things. Imagine when you brush your teeth every morning and every evening. It's not because you need like a huge motivation boost to brush your teeth. And I know it's a simple task, but the reason you don't need like motivation to do that is because it's just a habit. It's a part of your daily routine. You just do it and you don't think much about it. And that's where I want to go with many of my clients, and that's where I am as well. It's like training is just a part of my week. And for example, I know like sometimes it's good to take maybe 4 days off, maybe 5 days off, also like injury prevention, maybe once or twice a year. But like I don't really want to do it. Like when I do it, I miss training because you get so used to it that it's just a part of your life, and it's your habit, so you just do it.
Yeah,
like, that's where you want to get to, preferably, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, and habits will lead to discipline, and motivation can come and go, but if you have discipline and the habits, you'll just get it done.
Exactly.
You don't need the motivation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is some of your mistakes that you've made along the way?
That's a good question. I would say in the beginning, where I was like extremely hyped on calisthenics and like just really, really motivated, I definitely made some mistakes in terms of not like having breaks. So like let's say the day I got my first muscle up, and I have a video of that as well. You can find it on my Instagram, Christian Nielsen, or Calisthenics Unity as well. It was a pretty funny video. Like I get up and I'm like, That was a big moment, right? So what do I do the next day? I go down again to the gym to try to do more muscle ups because I was so hyped. Like I had dreams, like literal dreams when I was sleeping, like those sort of dreams, like doing muscle ups.
Yeah.
So I just went down there again and did some more muscle ups, and guess what? I got injured in my elbow for about a month. I was out. So it's just being stupid. And again, that was not a part of the plan to go down because I was training every second day to get that 1 day rest.
Yeah. So
I went like off the plan, and then I got injured. But otherwise, I wish that I had more like mistakes. I feel like it went pretty well all along. One mistake I made. Actually the biggest mistake I made overall was letting it become too much, I guess. I think but that's not like a fitness thing, that's a general thing. If you find something you really love, be careful you don't burn out with it, because I completely overdid it, and it completely took over my personality. I identified way too much with it, and it was basically the only thing I thought of and cared about. And then if that happens, then there is a higher chance of you suddenly burning out and having to step away from it to find a balance in it, which is what happened to me. So I was out for almost a year not training, around 2017, 2018, right?
Yeah.
And that was important for me to take that break, because that taught me afterwards how to find a balance with it. And I've been way happier ever since then. So that's probably the biggest mistake I made. Yeah.
That's cool. I can sort of relate to you on that, not with fitness, but I did TikTok for 3 or 4 years, and I really started to identify myself as the character I was on camera.
Okay, yeah.
And it sounds so silly, but we can relate to each other, so as well. It's like once that is taken away from you, once TikTok is taken away from me, once fitness is taken away from you, you feel like nothing, because you put your full identity into one thing, and that can become so dangerous.
Yeah, so I think there is a distinction. Like you say, TikTok was taken away from you?
No. It's just an example. If I identify myself as like this person on TikTok, and then all of a sudden TikTok gets banned in the world, you know, I would have nothing. I would feel like nothing.
Or if I broke both my arms or got MS or something and couldn't like be the same in the fitness industry. Yeah, I agree with you on that. That can be the danger of identifying too much with something. I just wanted to clarify that it was not because fitness was like taken away from me. It was my decision to leave it, basically.
Yeah. I know.
But that is a danger for sure. Yeah.
I remember I remember seeing the clip of you getting your first muscle up. It's so awesome. I wish I had more clips and videos of me achieving, you know, my first muscle up, first pull up, whatever. But I remember specifically my first muscle up. I ran in the house and just yelled at my mom, "Come look at this, come see this, I did a muscle up." I was so proud. You know, those moments are so cool. And that's just another thing that fitness can give you. So much joy and shape you so much. Like we talked about last time. Getting disciplined, sticking to a plan that can lead to so much other things in life.
Yeah, learning the satisfaction of having success and completing the goals or achieving the goals you have set for yourself, even if it's just like getting your first pull-up. Then set a new goal, getting your first 5 pull-ups, getting your first muscle up. All those small steps on the way of maybe a bigger goal of gaining 15 kilograms of muscle, maybe over 2 years or something like that. All those small like sub goals, you know, the satisfaction you get from them, they can just teach you a lot because you can apply that to other aspects of your life.
Absolutely. And learning to enjoy the journey. As you said, you know, the smaller goals instead of having, I mean, for me at least, in the beginning, I think that's a mistake that I made in the beginning. I was too focused on
the end goal.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a mistake,
Yeah, and when I wouldn't progress, I would get frustrated, and sometimes I just wanted to give up because I was so focused on the end goal instead of enjoying the process. It's so much healthier to just live in the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a great piece of advice you gave there. Yeah, care more about the process than the end goal, for sure. Have the end goal in mind, of course. Focus more on the sub goals and the things you have to do to get there, and then enjoy what you do to get there. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you were traveling. We just talked about this before the podcast. You went to Spain.
Yeah.
How, another piece of advice to the listeners, how do you stay fit and healthy while traveling?
Yeah, so I went to Spain for 10 days, and we were 5 of my buddies and me. And whenever I go travel, I don't really think that means I should stop training because I don't see training as like a chore. It's a way for me to like de-stress and makes me relaxed as well. And again, I enjoy the process. So it's always important for me to find a way to train. So actually, maybe this sounds a bit like fitness obsessed, but like 2 months before we were going, I did research to find a gym in that local area where we were going to stay. So I already had it planned. Again, planning is key, right?
Yeah.
So I found it, and it was only €2 per session. You just went over there and paid for it, and then you had gym access. So that was awesome. Then sometimes you're not able to have access to a gym, of course. So for that, I always bring a resistance band. And I bring my rings because rings, you can always hook them up to a tree or something. Then you can do pull-ups pretty much anywhere. And a resistance band is just nice to have. If you don't have a tree, so you're not able to do pull-ups, you can still do some stuff with the resistance band, like bicep curls, maybe do like a bit of rows so you can get your back muscles engaged a bit. I think that's my advice. Like, bring some light equipment and find a place to train if you can. You can search. You can look up calisthenics park in that area you're going to. You can look up gym, whatever.
Yeah. That's literally the cool thing about calisthenics. You don't need a gym.
Nah, you actually don't need a gym. It's nice to have when you're in Spain and it's 30 degrees Celsius. But I have trained under the sun in Greece during summer, just like at a playground, doing muscle ups. So yeah, you can definitely still do it. But
yeah. I think probably the one problematic thing about if you wanted to train at like your hotel or something like that, probably the pull muscles would be the hardest to train.
Exactly.
Right? Because as you said, you could bring some equipment, some resistance bands, some rings. So it's good advice. Absolutely. Did you? And I wanted to say, I don't think it's obsession necessarily.
No. I know it isn't, but to some people it's gonna sound like. Some people are gonna be like, "Bro, you're going on a vacation essentially. Why are you working out even on that? Like, get a break." If it fit the schedule that I had, that tactical rest for, injury prevention and all that, I could put it somewhere in that vacation, not all of it, but maybe 5 days off but then it would be tactical.
But I feel like still, it's like saying you should, just because you're on vacation, you should quit eating food. Like, essentially fitness, it's so important, and, I don't want to sound cringe or anything, but everybody should exercise. Literally everybody. And it should be first-hand nature to everybody. It should be as important as eating food, literally. Your body needs to move.
I would say if you don't eat food, you die. If you don't do some sort of movement, you're not necessarily going to die. So I would say technically food is more important. But I completely agree. You can build a case pretty easily that you should train in some way. You could even build, I would say, a moral argument. You ought to do some physical exercise, because it's not only good for yourself, but it's also going to impact people around you the way you are, right? So I would say whether it's fitness, strength training, whether it's running or dancing, like, you should find something to do that you're excited about, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's also one thing that's a big problem for a lot of people who can't get into fitness, is they just don't find it fun. But then all of a sudden they find this one thing like running or dancing, and they get into it.
Try some different things, like even if it's CrossFit. Not to hate on CrossFit, but like, just find something, like, try different things: weight training, calisthenics, running, dancing, whatever, MMA.
Absolutely. Do you do anything besides resistance training?
I do primarily calisthenics and weighted calisthenics, and then I sometimes do a bit of like weight training as well. So like, when I've done, let's say, weighted pull-ups, and then maybe a set without weight when I'm getting tired, and I don't have any more juice left, then I think it's really nice to do a set of bicep curls if I'm at the gym anyways. I think it's fine to be a calisthenics person, but I also think you shouldn't be like religious about it. I mean, it's always good to end off with an isolating exercise, right? But it's still mostly calisthenics, and obviously in the summer when I'm mostly outside, then you don't have equipment to do curls and stuff like that. So then I'll do some rows, like Australian pull-ups, but maybe focus more on the curling part. What was the question again? I just completely lost it.
What was the question?
What was the question?
Something about... I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I find it hard to work outside now that I've gone to this level of calisthenics. You know, with weight training, it's a lot easier, obviously, to progressively overload. With calisthenics, it's a bit harder. You have to be a bit more creative. I really like to do weighted calisthenics as well. Weighted pull-ups, weighted dips. Those are a little bit harder to do outside, to bring like 50 kilograms of weights with you in your backpack and go down to the park.
Well, it doesn't have to be 50 kilograms.
No, of course
I have a 16 kilogram kettlebell over there, and I put it in my bag, and that's no problem. Up on the bicycle, then go to the park. Then I have my weight belt and my kettlebell, and then you can do pull-ups, for example, with 16 kilograms extra. It's better than nothing.
Of course,
Of course, it's depending on your level. You shouldn't just do weighted calisthenics because it's cool or something. You should start doing weighted calisthenics when you've built like a proper foundation. Yeah, I started doing weighted calisthenics about 2 years into my progress. But it's like sometimes you see people doing weighted muscle ups. It's not to judge anyone, but like way before they can even do a strict muscle up without kipping. And then I'm like, personally, I would focus way more on cleaning up that muscle up rather than putting on extra weight and still kipping. But that's just my opinion, of course. But I remember your question now before. It was if I did anything else than calisthenics. I don't really do anything else. Sometimes I do some MMA boxing with my friends, but that's mostly for fun. Yeah. But yeah, I like...
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
I got into boxing and MMA a little bit a few years ago with the whole YouTube boxing thing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you follow that at all?
Actually, I saw the show that Ian iDubbbz hosted. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I like iDubbbz. I think he's original, and I don't think he's a normie type like many of the other YouTubers. And then I've seen some highlights because I wanted to see like someone like Jake Paul or Logan Paul or KSI get beat up a bit. But I think it was really, really fun, the iDubbbz thing, and I feel like it was way more like respectful in a way. It was really a lot about boxing and MMA, and not just about like the hype of can he get the knockout. It was way more about boxing as a sport, and I saw some podcasts with iDubbbz afterwards talking about it and all that. So yeah, that was really cool. Definitely,
I agree. It's funny because I'm a sucker for entertainment. I love the whole calling each other out, the press conferences, just going crazy. I love that sort of stuff. Are you gonna watch the who's he gonna fight? Jake Paul versus some guy?
I don't know.
No,
you're not. I don't follow it that much, but I'll probably watch it. Yeah, I think it's entertaining. I watch some MMA sometimes as well, and it's fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
who's your favorite fighter?
Like in
let's do
in
MMA.
real MMA. Or
what's fake MMA?
I mean, fake MMA would be YouTube boxing
real.
But yeah, that's not MMA. That's just boxing.
Yeah.
I don't think I watch it enough to have a favorite personality. I just enjoy watching it sometimes. And when you see like YouTube boxing, you can't help but think like, it would be pretty fun to try. It would be pretty fun.
I want to try it so bad.
Yeah.
God, man, the nerves. Could you imagine stepping into the ring, like 100,000 people watching?
Yeah, I think it's easy for me to sit here and say that it would be pretty awesome, but I think when it came to it, I think I would be so fucking nervous.
Oh, yeah. In the ring, man? Whew.
Yeah, for sure.
Scary.
Yeah.
I mean, props, even though like a lot of them can't box, but props to getting in the ring and doing it.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite fighter?
In real MMA, yes. I like I'm a sucker for Conor McGregor. I love the show. I also like Sean O'Malley. I think he's got to be my favorite.
Yeah.
You know who it is?
I heard the name many times, but I don't have a face on him right now. Again, I don't watch it a lot.
Yeah. But he's also like, Sean O'Malley does like the show type MMA in the ring, does cool tricks, like really flashy, so not so square in the rings or the octagon, that is.
More artistic.
Yeah, exactly. But he wins. He's so good. He's so good. I love him. Yeah. Chris, this has been an honor again. Once again, thank you so much for coming on.
It was awesome meeting you in 3D.
In real life. Yeah. Appreciate it. So go ahead. You already plugged a little bit, but do it again for the listeners.
Yeah, you can check out my YouTube channels, Christian Nielsen and Calisthenics Unity, and the same on Instagram, Christian Nielsen and Calisthenics Unity. You can check out my website as well, christiannielsen.fit. If you want to check out my online coaching, you can get a free consultation over WhatsApp if you want. Yeah,
awesome.
Bit of shameless plugging.
Yeah, no, of course. And to the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in as always. Liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. I appreciate it. Take it easy. Peace.